Good morning, human rights activists all over the world. Welcome back to Communication Workers of America, CWA, Human Rights Hour Power, a justice-filled hour of talk, solidarity, and worker power right here on KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you are visiting the beautiful city of Houston, you can take us home with you on KYOKradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on KYOKradio.org, on the CWA Strong app, or your favorite podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Thank you for joining us this morning on the CWA Human Rights Hour Power Radio Show. It's about us. That's right. It's about us. Working agreement, solidarity, living wages, worker power, and simply put, human rights. Honk your horns if you support workers. We have a phenomenal show lineup with Mikeya Jones, Reginald, Timmia Wiley, and Tay Akins today, so don't you dare change that dial. We'll be dealing with Mental Health Awareness Month, Human Rights Spotlight by Reginald, Living with Our Choices, Union Buster of the Week, Have the Day You Voted For, and Tea with Tay. Then we're going to close out today with the Allies, United for Every Worker. Our union voices are ringing in every district from Alaska to Maine, Texas to Minnesota, Canada to Puerto Rico, because we don't play at CWA. Our union brothers, sisters, and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 30 months striking on the picket lines, and yet while they are striking, they're still churning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. Once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/PPG-donate. And I just heard someone in the background shout, "When we fight, we win." Welcome to another edition of the CWA Hour Power Radio, where we lift up the voices, the stories, and the struggles of the labor leaders who dare to fight for justice. Today, I have the honor of shining the human rights spotlight on Larry Idalong, a name you may not hear in most history books, but one that must echo loudly across every picket line, every union hall, and every classroom that dares to tell the truth. Larry Idalong was a Filipino-American labor organizer, a son of immigrants, a fisherman by trade, and a soldier in spirit. Long before he became a central figure in the farm labor movement, he had already been organizing up and down the West Coast, leading labor strikes as early as the 1930s, from Alaska's salmon canneries to California's fields. But when we talk about the Delano grape strike, most people think of Cesar Chavez, and Chavez did incredible, powerful work. But here's the truth. Larry Idalong was the one who started the strike. And let me say that again for the folks in the back. Larry Idalong and the Filipino farm workers called the Monags walked out first. On September 8th, 1965, Idalong and over 1,500 Filipino grape workers in Delano, California, put down their tools and demanded fair wages and human dignity. It was a brave act that sparked the movement. And when the Filipino workers called for solidarity, the Mexican workers, led by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Herrera, joined them. And that's when the movement grew into what we now remember as the historic Delano grape strike. But let's be clear, Larry Idalong lit the match. And what did they strike for? I'm glad you asked that question. They were being paid $1.20 an hour, while the federal minimum wage was already at $1.40. Workers were exposed to toxic pesticides, denied water breaks, and treated like machines. So they said enough. And the strike lasted for 5 long years. I want you to let that sink in. 5 years of hardship, boycott, hunger, intimidation, and sacrifice. And it cost the grape industry over $25 million in lost revenue. That's right, $25 million. But homes, health, time with family was priceless. And yet they kept going because they weren't just fighting for a few cents more, they were fighting for recognition, dignity, and the right to be seen as fully human. It alone helped form the United Farm Workers, UFW, but eventually left because he felt the Filipino contribution was being erased. He saw the media focusing on Chavez, while the Filipino monarchs, many of whom were aging bachelors who had worked for decades, were made invisible. And he said, and I quote, "We are not second class people," end of quote. Larry Itterlong wasn't just a labor leader, he was a civil rights warrior. He fought for housing, education, and health care for his community. He later helped establish the Abiani Village, a retirement home for Filipino farm workers who had no family, no pension, and no safety net, just a union. And let me share a little lesser known fact. It alone only had a sixth grade education. He lost three fingers in a cannery accident, but none of that stopped him from standing toe to toe with billion-dollar corporations and demanding justice. He passed away in 1977, long before schools or the press began to properly credit him. It took decades for his name to appear in textbooks. In fact, in 2015, almost 40 years after his death, California finally celebrated Larry Itterlong Day on October 25th. Friends, what does this all mean for us right here, right now? It means we must recognize that labor rights are human rights, that immigrant labor built this country's wealth, that racial justice and labor justice are forever intertwined. And Larry Itterlong's legacy challenges us to ask ourselves, how can I support the rights of workers in the community? And I have a few questions for the listening audience today. Are we supporting our local food workers? Are we fighting for fair wages and safe working conditions for all, not just some? Are we making sure our unions include and uplift workers of all races, ethnicities, and backgrounds? I want you to take action today. Learn about labor movements, support fair wages, speak up against exploitation. The fight isn't just in the past, it's in our warehouses, it's in our clinics, it's in the grocery stores, it's in the schools, and the fields right now. I want you to practice something every day. Stand in solidarity with those fighting for workplace justice. Whether you are a union steward, a retiree, or someone just learning about organizing, my friend, your voice matters. Let's not let Larry Itterlong's name be forgotten. Let it be etched into our hearts. Let it be shouted from our stages. Let it inspire new generations of fighters. Because as he said in 1965, and I quote, "We should have the same rights as anybody else. We're human beings." End of quote. And in the words of CWA, we stand together, union strong, equity strong, human rights forever. This has been CWA Our Power Radio Show, Human Rights Spotlight on Larry Itterlong. Stay tuned, stay informed, and stay in the fight. You are tuned into KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on KYOKradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on KYOKradio.org or the CWA Strong app or wherever you listen to your podcast. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Next up, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we have Mr. Reginald Small sitting in for Mikeya Jones. Good morning, Reginald.
Good morning, Errol Minor, and good morning, KYOK radio listeners. Errol, before I go into this particular subject, which is very dear to me, Mental Health Awareness Month, I just want to stand in a spirit of correction with you, Errol Minor. When you came on this morning, you said it's just me and Reginald Small. And that made me feel like we weren't enough.
Oh, we're
And
enough,
so I'm
Reggie.
going to give you a moment to clean that up.
Okay, we have the best two that can do the job when everybody else has left us.
There you go, Errol. I accept that. And yes, we are missing our partners in this movement. Mikeya, Timmia, and Tay, we are missing them, but the show must go
Yes.
on, Errol Minor. So, Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of May. I am Reginald Small, as Errol has already said. And today we are honoring Mental Health Awareness Month, a time to break the silence, break the stigma, and open our hearts to real and true conversations about mental health across all communities. Mental health does not discriminate, it is all inclusive. It can touch every race, every gender, every age, every faith, every identity, and every walk of life. Whether you're a part of the Black community, the Indigenous community, immigrant communities, the LGBTQIA plus family, veterans, students, people living with disabilities, or any intersection in between. Your mental health matters. We know the history. We know the barriers, the lack of access, cultural stigmas, misdiagnoses, discrimination, and fear. We know about the shame. But we also know the truth. Healing is a human right. Seeking help is an act of power, definitely not weakness. This month and every month, we stand in unity to say, you deserve peace. You deserve support. You deserve to be seen, heard, and yes, you deserve to be healed. Mental health is health. There is no shame in therapy. There is no weakness in asking for help. There is strength in community, and there is hope in action. So let's honor the courage it takes to say, I'm struggling. Let's celebrate the bravery it takes to choose healing. And let's commit right here, right now. Let's commit to build a world where mental wellness is a priority for all of us, not just some of us. So if you or someone you know needs support, resources are available, and you are never alone. This Mental Health Awareness Month, let's do more than recognize. Let's reimagine a world where care, compassion, and community leads the way. I'm Reginald Small. I'm sending you strength, sending you love, and reminding you it's okay not to be okay. And to positively say you can be okay. Back to you, Errol.
Thank you so much, Reginald. You're listening to CWA Our Power Hour on KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on KYOKradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 8 a.m. Pacific on KYOKradio.org or your CWA Strong app or your favorite podcast player. Just search for CWA Hour of Power. All right, we're down to Reginald Spotlight already. It is the Human Rights Segment Spotlight with Reginald Small. Come on in here, Reginald, once again, and let's talk about this spotlight.
All right, Errol, I never left you. I'm right here. So today we need to talk about something that actually cuts deep. It's not just into our politics, but into our humanity. This past Friday, three American children, citizens aged 2, 4, and 7, were deported alongside their mothers by immigration authorities out of the state of Louisiana. One of these children, just 4 years old, is battling stage 4 cancer, deported without medication, without access to doctors, without basic human dignity. Now, I'm not going to go into names, but let's be honest. We know what's the root of this and where the foundation of this is coming from. Policies that treated humans like disposable property, that separated children from families, and that turned cruelty into a political strategy. These politics may have started a few years back, but today we are still living under the shadow of these policies. Labor unions have always fought for the dignity of workers, but our fight must also extend to the dignity of all families, especially the most vulnerable. If a government can deport toddlers who are citizens, if a government can deport a dying 4-year-old child without their life-saving medication, what do we think it will do to working people, to organizing workers, to immigrant workers, to union families when it thinks no one is watching? This is why human rights are labor rights. This is why child rights are union rights. Because if they can do it to the least powerful, they can and will come for the rest of us. We fight for fair contracts. Of course, we know that. That's unions. We fight for better wages. But we also fight to build a world where no child, no matter their background, is thrown away like trash for political gain. We fight to make sure that the word citizen, and more importantly, the word child, means something real in this country. At CWA, we say loudly, children are not bargaining chips. Workers are not disposable. Families are not collateral damage. And to those who engineered and executed these policies, your name may not be on this radio show today, but your fingerprints are all over these tragedies, and we will not forget. This is our power. This is our fight. I'm Reginald Small. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep fighting. And let's protect every child, every worker, and every family.
All right. Thank you so much, Reginald Small, with that human rights spotlight. Up next, we have the Union Buster of the Week. And this week's Union Buster of the Week still goes to none other than the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, a paper that continues to be a master class in how not to respect journalists, workers, or the truth. For over 2.5 years, TNGCWA Local 38061 members have been out on strike, standing tall against union busting, unfair labor practice, and corporate greed that tries to silence the very people who bring truth to power. But here's the twist. While the Post-Gazette tries to break the union is out here breaking stories. Striking photojournalist Steve Mellon just won the 17th annual Izzy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Independent Media. Steve's award-winning work covered the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment and the ongoing fallout hurting working-class families. Long after the big networks packed up their cameras and left, Steve and his fellow strikers have kept journalism alive and accountable through the Pittsburgh Union Progress, their strike publication that proves that truth doesn't need a corner office or corporate approval to matter. So let's be clear. Congratulations to Steve Mellon for showing the world what real journalism looks like. And a big salute to all of the strikers at TNG CWA Local 38061. And I just want to say that's 925 days, if you want to count it. Your work is powerful. Your voices are necessary, and your courage is union strong. We want to support workers who never clock out on telling the truth. And to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, you might own the building, but the workers own the legacy. And that legacy is union made. You're listening to CWA Hour Power on KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on kyokradio.org. Listen to us on every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org. You can also listen to us on your CWA Strong app or your favorite podcast player. Go to your favorite podcast player and search for CWA Hour of Power, and there you will find us. Up next is Living. Yeah.
I just must throw in here, since we're in Mental Health Awareness Month, I have a union buster of my own that I just want to make mention of, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead, Mr. Small. What do you have over there?
I have this week's Union Buster of the Week isn't a corporation or a greedy CEO. It's the folks sitting in the highest seats of government, the same ones who signed these protections into law and now want to tear them down. So here's what's happening. At a time when young people's mental health is in crisis, plans have leaked showing the federal government intends to eliminate all funding for the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline LGBTQ Youth Specialized Services starting October 1st, 2025. Since 2022, this program has saved lives, more than 1.2 million crisis contacts, given LGBTQ plus youth trained counselors who understand them, affirm them, and help them survive. And now, the very same political figures who once celebrated this bipartisan effort are preparing to gut it. Let's be clear. LGBTQ plus youth are over 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their peers. Every 45 seconds, another LGBTQ plus young person in this country attempts to take their own life. Instead of investing more into life-saving resources, this administration is choosing to pull the rug out from the most vulnerable. And it's not about saving money. It's about sending a message. And the message is clear. It's very clear to me, Errol, that certain lives don't matter to them. But we know better. When you attack LGBTQ plus youth, you attack every principle that unions stand for: fairness, equality, dignity, and hope. So we call that union busting of the human spirit. So Errol, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again right now. Any person that has a beating heart deserves dignity and respect, whether you understand their plight or not. They deserve dignity and respect. And why do you think that they don't deserve to be able to access the same basic opportunities like mental health, a hotline, something that can help them be better and help prepare them, help them be better, to affirm them and to give them the resources that they need? Mm-hmm. Our power stands with the LGBTQ plus youth. Our power refuses to let anyone be discarded. Our power believes every young life is sacred and worth saving. Stay strong, stay loud, stay united.
Well, all right then. That 2 in a day. I don't know what's going on here. Anything else you want to share with us over there, Mr. Small?
Not right now, but I'll let you know. I'll interrupt you. So I'll just come forward with it, Errol. I feel comfortable in doing so.
All right. Let's get into living with our choices. I know we kind of talked about that on last week, and we got to the end of the show, and Mikeya gave us the groundwork for it and introduced it to the listening audience. Living with our choices, and I just want to add on to that: cry me a river or fight back. So let's talk about that a little bit today. When it comes to living with our choices. You're listening to CWA Our Power Radio, and here you hear the voices of the people become the fire behind the movement. And that's why we're here. Today, we're diving into something real uncomfortable, but necessary. And here's the truth. Some of us chose silence. Some chose not to vote. Some chose not to get involved, not to speak up, not to organize. Now, we're living with choices. And some folks want to cry about it. Some folks are crying a river, because while some were silent, the rest of us were warning, fighting, and praying. But it's not too late. You can still get in the fight. Am I right about it, Reggie?
Errol, you're absolutely right. And I'm not one, I don't cry over spilled milk. I figure out how to wipe it up and how to move on. So let's talk about what these choices have cost us. I'm going to keep it all the way real. Just this week, the NAACP had to sue the U.S. Department of Education because the administration's trying to strip federal funds from schools that even mention diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes, you heard that right. The administration is trying to strip federal funds from schools that even mention diversity, equity, and inclusion. The NAACP filed a federal lawsuit accusing the U.S. Department of Education of violating civil rights by pressuring schools to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs or lose funding. So, who suffers from this, Errol? Black and brown students, LGBTQIA plus youth, immigrant communities, poor folks, the same people already fighting to be seen and heard. So when folks say, my vote doesn't matter, just remember, silence wasn't choice. And now the policies reflect that silence.
You better preach, Reginald. And for everybody feeling the pain right now, here's your invitation right here. The fight is still going on. The labor movement is rising even while we face attacks from the top. And check this out. Over 500 workers in the video game industry just joined a new union. United Video Game Workers, even while some are trying to crush collective bargaining rights. Hundreds of video game workers joined United Video Game Workers, a union launched under campaign to organize digital employees. See code, CODE, CWA. That's right. And we're defying the pressures and threats to the labor protections. And
So
you might have set out, yeah, you might have set out the last round, but you're still in the ring. And my union brothers, sisters, and siblings, and our other unions that are out there listening, our activists, our human rights activists all over the world, you got to organize, you got to mobilize, you got to unionize. You have to put all of those things that we have learned at various conferences and workshops. You've got to put it to work now. You got to put it in action, and you just can't talk about it. You got to be about it, because power doesn't wait, it's claimed. And the moment you plug in, you're part of something bigger than the mess they left us with.
I agree, Errol. And I just feel like I want to say that if you're listening out there today, that this is not a conversation about attacking a particular outcome or attacking a candidate if that's the candidate that you voted for or didn't vote for. This is about dealing with the outcome. It's about dealing with the outcome and where do we actually go from here. And there is an outcome. I mean, every election that we participate in or don't participate in, it results in some kind of outcome. So this is not political, not just political. This is also spiritual. This is emotional. This is about people who are tired, who are burnt out, just feeling disconnected, some that are feeling attacked, depressed. But guess what? That rest is resistance. I want to bring in a name, Tricia Hersey, who built an entire movement around reclaiming rest for Black folks and the oppressed. It's a very interesting topic, an interesting name, and an interesting read. And one of the quotes is, rest is a form of resistance because it disrupts and pushes back against capitalism and supremacy. So rest is how we reset our minds, recharge our souls, and remember we're worthy of more than just survival. So if you're trying to live through this moment, start with a breath, with breathing. Start with rest. Start with grounding yourself in your ancestors, your hope, your people, your community.
You're absolutely on it, Reginald. And let me bring it even to our young people, our Gen Zs, our millennials. Um, you all saw what happened last cycle. Some showed up, some didn't. But the point is, we can't afford another wave of checking out. We have to be real about everything, and we have to be real with our folks. No judgment, just the truth. And this generation can make a play like none other come 2028.
I agree, Errol, and you said something here that about checking out. I talk to so many people, and so many people, I'm burnt out. I don't watch the news. It's too much. And while I respect that, and I respect, that we need to rest and back up, take a break from it. We can't there's a difference in resting in order to rejuvenate, to come back to the fight, than ignoring what's going on. We actually have to pay attention. We need to know what's going on in our communities, in our cities, in our towns, in the world. We need to know what decisions are being made, because we need to know where our next fight, where we need to put our energy, that we're not just grasping behind information that we're getting lamely or from the sources of media that's more gossipy than factual. We need to pay attention. We need to read the small writing running across the screen, not just the breaking news. We need to get our sources from different information. Errol, we have to be informed. There's a lot going on in this human rights agenda right now that we must pay attention to. We must be informed. We must carry a sign. We must take part in it. We cannot just close our doors at night and lock it and say that, oh, it's going to be all right. No, we got to make it all right. We got to do our part to make it all right. We got to continue the movement. We can't be thrown off course. I know I'm saying a lot. We got to stick to our agenda in training, our agenda in fighting the good fight, our agenda in making the ignorant informed, the ignorant for lack of knowledge, to make them informed, to share what we know. There is hope in knowledge. I still hold on to that hope.
Yeah, and I know one thing that you and I can talk about is going back to the grassroots. I know you love talking about that. Going back to the grassroots, we have to go back to what has worked in the past and build on it for the new generation as well. We got to educate with love. Now, that's one thing I have to say. We have to educate with love. We have to hold each other accountable without shaming.
Yes.
And we must speak the language or their language and show them why it matters. All right. So we're on it. The human rights department is just so active in doing things, and we're turning out some awesome human rights activists. And we're calling on everybody to join us in activism, because there is something out there that all of us can stand for, that can fight for.
Yes,
This this was
and to build on our commonalities. I mean, even in a union, one union, there are differences in opinion. There are differences in politics. There's always differences, but there are commonalities that we can deal with. I mean, you can go to a class, Errol, as you well know this, with 20 people, and there's somebody in there that doesn't agree or doesn't quite understand or doesn't get why you're talking about human rights things, the human rights agenda in a union. And I'm always glad when that happens, because you can't have one without the other. Part of the human
right.
rights agenda is a labor movement. It takes people. It takes building coalitions in order to get this very important work done.
Yeah. And before we wrap this up, I want to just ask you, Reginald, just one quick thing. What's one thing you're doing to live through this moment and build something better for the next one?
I am personally, the thing that I am hopeful. I read in a novel once that the wheel of fortune keeps turning, meaning that nothing stays the same. And in this particular time, where it feels like human rights, labor rights, it feels that, that it's under attack. I believe that this too will pass, but we have to help it pass. And when it passes this time, we have to have built something stronger. So it's a positive nature for me. I look at this to move. We will get through this. We have gotten through worse, but I mean, I know this feels different, but we've gotten through worse. We will get through this, but it's my hope, it is my determination that we come out stronger this time, and that people are more informed this time.
Yes. And I'm keeping this mic hot, using our power radio to keep the fire lit. And remember, y'all, you might not have made the best choice yesterday, but you've got today. And that's where the power is. This is Our Power Radio. Claim your voice, claim your space, claim your future. Don't cry about it. Do something about it. You're listening to CWA Our Power Radio on KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on KYOKradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on KYOKradio.org or the CWA Strong app or your favorite podcast player. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. We're going to move right on into this one. Have the day you voted for. So today's theme is going to keep it going, and it's simply simple but powerful. Have the day you voted for. It sounds catchy, right? But let's break it all the way down because your future depends on it. When you step into that voting booth or decide not to, you're casting a ballot not just for a candidate. You're voting for the kind of day you're going to wake up to tomorrow. Vote against healthcare, wake up without it. Vote against unions, wake up with a pay cut. Vote against civil rights, wake up handcuffed to injustice. And if you vote against human rights, you're voting against your own humanity.
Exactly, Errol. Voting against your best interest, it doesn't just hurt those other people. It hits your pocket. It hits your family. It impacts your future. Look around. I mean, you just look around. Book bans, union busting, voting restrictions, attacks on reproductive rights. It's all connected. And it all shows up at your doorstep, whether you invited it to your house or not. When people vote to take away somebody else's rights, it never just stops there. It's a domino effect. Attack LGBTQIA plus rights. Yeah, next they come for workers' rights. Attack voting rights. Next they come for wages, clean water, education. This isn't just politics. This is about paychecks. It's about prescriptions. It's about everyday living. It's about prison cells, protest signs. If they come for them, they'll come for us.
And that's what solidarity, and that's why I should say solidarity voting matters, because it's protecting civil rights, and civil rights protects us all. It's not just civil rights does not just belong to Black America. Civil rights are everybody's rights, and human rights are everybody's rights. Every law that denies human dignity chips away at your dignity also. Every anti-union law shrinks your paycheck too. Every attack on civil rights shrinks your power too. Voting against your rights is like setting your own house on fire because you don't like your neighbor. And so the bottom line is this right here. You want a better day? You got to vote for a better day. A day where you can organize, a day where you can breathe free, a day where your kids don't have fewer rights than you had. And hear me clearly. We are one election away from losing what took generations to build.
Because rights aren't just for some, they're for all of us. If you're not voting to defend them, you're letting them take yours too. No vote, no voice, no voice, no rights. It's real simple. So this year and every year, remember, when you vote or when you sit it out, you're choosing your next paycheck, your next court case, your next living condition, your next protest, your next freedom. You're choosing it or not choosing it. Vote smart, vote strong, vote educated, vote union, vote human rights, because the future you wake up to is exactly the one you voted for.
This is Our Power Radio Show, and together we are the power. You're listening to the Communication Workers of America, CWA, Human Rights Hour, Power, Justice Field Hour of Talk, Solidarity, and Worker Power, right here on KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on KYOKradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 8 a.m. Pacific right here on KYOK 1140 a.m. in the all-new CWA Strong app and your favorite podcast player. Search for CWA Our Power Radio. Listen, up next, I want to see if Reggie and I can make this tea boil a little bit. This is the section where we start with tea with Tay. And I know she's not here today, and I know she's going to listen, but I think Reggie and I can put our little fire up under this water and see what we can do with this tea with Tay. All right. Welcome to Tea with Tay, where we sip the truth and spill the power. Today, I want to take us back to roots of organizing and unionizing and what it was really all about before all of the politics and distractions. And people forget. Go ahead.
Because Errol, it wasn't always divided, right?
Right.
Because when we first started unionizing, it wasn't about red or blue. It wasn't about Democrat, Republican, or independent. It was about one thing. It was about survival. It was about recognizing that no matter what background you came from, we had more in common than we thought. Low wages, safety on the job, no voice at work. It hit everybody. So that was our commonality.
You're absolutely correct. Folks didn't care who you voted for. They cared if you were ready to stand side by side on the picket lines. That's what they were concerned about. That's what brought the activists together. And if you were ready to build something better, not just better wages, but better communities, we were in the fight together. So what has happened?
Well, Errol, that's a magic question. I don't know, because I know it wasn't about just getting a few more dollars in your own paycheck. It was about lifting the working poor, creating real opportunities for people, making sure that our kids had better chances than we did. It was hope. It was actually hope in action. So I don't know what the difference is now. I really believe the core of us activists, we still believe in that. We're still trying to uplift the poor and get a fair living wage. We still want people, not only on the job, but in our communities, to be treated with dignity and respect. And of course, we want the next generation to be better than we are. We want to leave something for them, something stronger, something better.
And you know what, Reginald? The fight, it's even bigger, because we're looking at human rights now, and we're looking at it on a global scale. We're talking about standing up against violations of even international humanitarian law, wars, mass displacements, and abuses. We're talking about poverty and inequality that are breaking communities down here and abroad.
Well, and some of it we're repeating, because we're fighting for democracy and civic space. I mean, and the right to organize. I mean, that's back. Collective bargaining. I mean, that's back again, something that we're having to repeat a fight. The right for vote to protest. It all appears to be on the line again. It's under attack. Not to mention environmental issues, degradation, because what good is a contract if the air we breathe is no good and the water we drink is poison? What good is it?
Oh, you getting off into the environmental degradation, environmental injustice training. And let's not ignore how technology also is creeping into every part of our rights. From workplace surveillance to AI biases, our rights, people, are on the line in ways we've never imagined.
And the refugees and the migrants, folks who have to run for their lives, they deserve dignity, Errol. They do.
Yes, they do. And you came in with that union buster this morning, and where you were talking about the children. And let's go ahead and put it on out there. Child labor is still out here happening in 2025. We have corporations exploiting children while talking about family values on TV.
Yeah, and the list goes on because we could talk about
Yes.
freedom of the press and freedom of speech. If we lose those, we lose everything. And I mean, those things are, under attack. I mean, I don't know. I even heard something, Errol, and this is a little off track, but I heard someone say, well, I didn't hear it. I heard it, but then I read it and researched it. PBS
Yes.
is under the review to lose funding because there are people
Yes.
who believe that they have a left-wing agenda or they promote some things that are found to be. I heard a political person on TV actually yesterday and used the word repulsive to some.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the
Mm-hmm.
subject matter is repulsive to some. I mean, you're getting on TV and you're calling people, particularly in this instance, I believe he was talking about trans people and the trans agenda, he called it repulsive. I mean, you're on national TV and you can say that now, that you find that to be repulsive. That's your opinion. I guess you got a right to share it, but I feel like we're stepping back into time. Anything that we don't agree with, and there's a lot of things in life I don't agree with, but I don't go and try to destroy it and tear it down or attack people with it. Anything that is not agreed upon, now you want to slash it, you want to get rid of it. Something's wrong with that, Errol.
Mm-hmm. And even today, we're still fighting for LGBTQIA plus rights, women's rights, girls' rights, disability rights. And this fight is going on every single day. I mean, every single day, every time we wake up, we got a new fight on our hands.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
and we
go
can't
ahead.
just fight for justice at home and ignore injustice abroad. We're too connected now. It's not like we're
Mm-hmm.
separate and we got to get on a ship to sail somewhere. I mean, we're going back and forth to other places. We're all impacted. We're interconnected. So when we stand up for workers' rights in Birmingham, in Bangladesh, in Mexico, we are standing up for all of us. Oppression
Mm-hmm.
anywhere threatens justice everywhere. It's like a bad apple in a bunch. We have to organize across borders, across industries, and every barrier they try to throw at us.
You really boiling that water over there, Reginald.
Well, Tay left the tea. We just had to drink it. So,
And what we have to realize is everywhere means everywhere. That's your sip of truth for today. This has been Tea with Tay with Reginald and Errol. Stay strong, stay united, and stay global in your fight for justice. And I know we're coming down to the last few minutes of the show, and we want to definitely talk about the allies because we need allies in everything that we do, especially in human rights, when there are so many battles out there in this world. Because just as I said, every morning we wake up, there's a new fight. And so we're going to talk about the allies united for every worker. Um, we are the voice of solidarity, unity, and action. And we're going to dive into allyship just a little bit today and what it really means to stand up for and with one another across every community. It doesn't matter what your culture, what your race is, black, brown, indigenous, Asian, LGBTQIA plus, disability rights, religious minorities, immigrants, women, veterans, everybody, because an injury to one is truly an injury to all. An ally is someone who uses their voice, their power, and their resources to challenge injustice, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. You don't have to be a part of a group to fight for their dignity and their rights. I remember one time I was reading the book by Dr. Ibram X. Kennedy, where he was talking about how to be an anti-racist. And it reminds us neutrality helps the oppressor, never the oppressed. And so in 2017, CWA members in Texas stood in solidarity. And this is a real live, real labor example. In 2017, CWA members in Texas stood in solidarity with immigrant workers during Hurricane Harvey, helping organize relief efforts that included all workers, documented or not. And so this week, This week, my listeners, this week, to all of the human rights activists, this week, to the listeners of the CWA Our Power radio show, I want to challenge you to speak up when you see biases, racism, sexism, albiism, homophobia, xenophobia. Even if it's not about you, I want you to speak up when you see the bias.
And Errol, I like what you said. You don't have to be a part of a group to fight for their dignity and rights. I mean, that is so simple and so profound. And had we really absorbed that, I think we'd be in a better position. I mean, in order to fight for women's rights, of course, you don't need to be a woman to fight for women's rights and to want them to be respected and have autonomy. You don't have to be a woman for that. So that's where an ally comes in. I mean, we promote having women's committees and unions and all of that. And for so long, men thought that that was just for women. It is a women's committee, but it's only a women's committee because there are certain things that are specific to women's needs that women may think of that others don't. But we can definitely be allies for that. Same thing with the LGBTQIA plus community. You don't have to be a part of that community to be an ally of that community, to believe that they should be treated with dignity and respect. So I'm glad you brought that up. And the job of an ally is to actually be a bridge, not a barrier. It's to lift voices up, not to take it over. So you can be an ally with all of those groups and not take over, but be there to back them up. True allies share the mic, they share the resources and the risk. So this week, educate yourself about an injustice affecting a community different from your own. So again, this is a challenge to the listeners, an action, because so many people out there are asking, what can I do? How can I help? You find an issue and you educate yourself about that issue or about that injustice affecting a community different from your own, and you take one small step towards advocacy. That's how you can help.
You're absolutely correct. Allies, come here just a little bit closer. I want to whisper in your ear today. Allies, you open doors that have been slammed shut by injustice. Whether that's recommending a woman of color for leadership, fighting for workplace accessibility, backing up a Muslim coworker experiencing biases, or challenging anti-LGBTQIA plus policies, everyone needs an ally, even folks from traditionally privileged groups, because solidarity lifts all of us up. White males, for example, can be powerful allies by using their influence to challenge racism, sexism, and exclusionary practices, not by centering themselves, but by sharing access, resources, and power. Listen, I'm going to challenge you one more time. Use your access. Recommend or nominate someone from a marginalized group for an opportunity they might otherwise be shut out from.
And I just want to say this, Errol, before we go from this, leave this. Being an ally isn't charity. It's actual solidarity at its best. It's standing shoulder to shoulder across every difference, race, gender, disability, faith, economic background, all of it. It's standing shoulder to shoulder, because when we fight for each other, we win bigger. Want to plug into the work? CWA has incredible groups that welcomes allies into action. Our CWA's human rights committees, your women's committees, the LGBTQIA plus caucus, veterans committees, civil rights and equity network, you name it. There, you can become an ally on any of that if you're within CWA. If you're outside of CWA, your options are endless. Find an action, find a cause, get involved. Allyship builds our collective power, and that collective power is our power. We are the labor movement. We are the future. and we are just getting started.
And I want to close out with this challenge right here. Educate yourself. That's the simple challenge right there. Educate yourself. This week, take the time to learn about an injustice that doesn't affect you directly, that doesn't directly affect you, I should say. Then find one small way to take action in solidarity. As we come down to the final minutes of the show, our union brothers, sisters, and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 925 days on the picket lines. And yet, while they are striking, they are still turning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. Once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund? Donate at cwa.org/ppg-donate. Now, I just heard someone shout, "We are one." That's right, we are one. April has brought the showers, but May will bring the flowers. We kick off the awareness month with May talking about mental health awareness. Take action and learn today. When you take time to learn about others around you, you're making the world a better place. Awareness campaigns serve as a powerful reminder that there are steps we all must take in looking out for loved ones, the people in our community, and those who have been impacted. It's time to take one big step together and make a change. An hour is not long enough to be with you, and a week is too long to be away from you. You have been tuned into the CWA Human Rights Justice Hour Power broadcast. I hope something you heard today has inspired you to take action toward creating positive change in the world. Every person has the power to make a difference, no matter how small. And by working together, we can create a world where human rights are respected and valued. So I encourage each of you in the listening audience to reflect on your role in promoting human rights to effect change in your communities and beyond. Know that you are not alone in your quest for a more just and equitable world. When faced with injustice, it can be easy to lose hope and give up. But remember, justice may be slow, like the truth, but when it finally comes, it will stand. Until next Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on KYOK 1140 a.m. and the all-new 106.5 FM, KYOKradio.org. See you next week. All right, stop the recording.